Hello and welcome to Challenge Your Mind, Change the World, the podcast where we dive deep into the art of communication and critical thinking, and how these essential skills can transform our relationships and our futures with our teens. I'm your host, Francesca Hudson, the classic high school teacher, a writer, entrepreneur, and an advocate for meaningful conversations. Each episode, I explore strategies and share insights on how parents can enhance their communication with their children. It's not just about talking, it's about listening, understanding, and fostering an environment where critical thinking thrives. I'm here to equip you with the tools not only for immediate improvements in your family interactions, but also to set up our teens for long-term success in every aspect of their lives. So whether you're on your morning commute or winding down for the evening, join me as we unlock the potential of our conversations to shape a brighter, more thoughtful world. Let's get started. Hi everyone, Francesca here, the classic high school teacher. Today we're talking about something that almost every parent wrestles with at some point, and this is something that I battle with as well. It is, am I helping my teen? Or am I hovering? Where is the line between support and over-support? Are we guilty of being helicopter parents? Between guidance and control, between stepping in and stepping out? If you've ever sat beside your teen during homework and wondered, should I be doing this? Then this episode is for you. Let's start here. If you are worried about hovering, it usually means you care deeply, right? You don't want your child or your teen to fall behind or to lose confidence or to miss out on those opportunities that come their way, or maybe feel overwhelmed by their workload or the stress levels at school. So you step in, you remind them, you check, you edit, you sit beside them, you rewrite sentences in your head. Now that's not control, that's love mixed with anxiety, and that's very human. Let's look at what hovering actually looks like. Because hovering isn't about being present, it's about removing struggle too quickly. It can look like giving the answer instead of asking guiding questions. We just want to jump in and give them the answer straight away. Or maybe rewriting our child's paragraph so it sounds better. Or maybe it's constantly reminding before our teenager or our child has had a chance to actually self-initiate and to start those problem-solving skills themselves. Maybe it's checking portals daily, the class portal or the school's portal, rather than getting your child to do it, get into the habit of doing it for themselves, or managing deadlines entirely for them. And these are all so common, and I am so guilty of doing pretty much all of these myself as a parent. So do not worry. This episode, what we're talking about today, is about how we can hand over the reins a little bit more to our children and our teenagers with this study. Because here's the tricky part. Hovering can often comes from wanting to reduce our teenagers and our children's stress levels. We care about them as parents. That's what we're wired to do. But sometimes it actually reduces their growth instead. So there's something called productive struggle, and it's that slightly uncomfortable space where our teens don't know exactly what to do. They have to think, they might make a mistake, they have to revise, and that's normally when we'll see it spill out through stress and anxiety, and then our knee-jerk reaction as parents is wanting to jump in and help. But in actual fact, this productive struggle is where executive functioning develops. If we, as parents, remove that discomfort every time, then our children's brains don't get the chance to build task initiation, planning, self-monitoring, emotional regulation. However, if we leave them entirely alone and overwhelmed, that's not helpful either. Here's the key shift. Instead of doing the work with them, with your child or with your teen, you coach the thinking behind the work. For example, let me give you an example. Instead of write it like this, you would maybe try saying something like, what point are you trying to make? Or you would say, and so instead of saying, that doesn't make sense, you might say something like this. Can you explain what you mean here? Let me give you a third example. Instead of saying something like, you forgot your homework again, we could try as parents something like, what system could help you remember next time? Can you see how you're moving from solution provider to skill builder? And that's a huge difference. Sometimes hovering isn't about our children. It's actually about us as parents. It's about wanting reassurance that they'll be okay. Or it's that fear that our children or our teenagers' grades reflect our own parenting. It's a reflection on us. Or maybe it's from our own school experiences that we don't want our children to go through. And that's understandable. But when we manage everything, then our children don't get to experience, I can handle this. And remember, confidence grows from capability, not from rescue. Got to be so mindful of that. And let's also be clear, some teens genuinely need more scaffolding. They do. And this is one very, very, very strong pillar of the classic high school teacher with the work that I do is with teens that need scaffolding more so than others. Especially teens with ADHD, anxiety, learning differences, slow processing speed, or executive functioning delays. For these teens, stepping back completely is definitely not the answer. But scaffolding is not the same as hovering. What scaffolding means is breaking tasks into steps or providing frameworks for our teens or using structured templates. You could create routines with the mind frame of gradually stepping back a little bit more and reducing support. Hovering, on the other hand, means you stay completely in control indefinitely. Scaffolding means you're building independence intentionally. That's the difference between the two. So here's a simple test you can use at home. Before stepping in at homework time or study time for exams, or if you're homeschooling when it's time for independent learning, ask yourself, is this frustration within their capability to solve? If they're getting frustrated with the task, before you jump in and finish it off for them or show them how to do it, ask yourself, is this frustration within their capability to solve? Have I already shown them a system? Have they got the system? Have they got the scaffolding? Have they got the routine? You could ask, am I stepping in because they need help or because I feel anxious? So pause for a moment and just check whereabouts is this desire to step in coming from? And finally, if I don't intervene, what would they learn? And I think that's probably the most important one. If I don't intervene, what would they learn? Will they learn how to solve the problem for themselves? Will they learn to start coming up with some different ways to approach the task? So we're bringing in some of that critical thinking. Because sometimes the answer will be, they'll learn resistance. Our child will learn resistance. And sometimes the answer will be, they'll spiral. And that's when your judgment comes in. Remember, parenting isn't binary. It's calibrated. So you know the nuances of your child or of your teen. You know their limits. You know what they're capable of. You know what scaffolding and structure you have put in place already at home. And so these are just questions that you can run through in your mind when your teen is about to have a complete meltdown over their homework. What does independence actually look like? Independence doesn't mean no reminders ever, perfect time management, or no procrastination. That's just not realistic. What it means is that teenagers gradually take ownership over their own work, which is what we want as parents, right? They can say, I need help with this part, rather than saying, I need help with everything. Or they can start a task using a structure, or they can recover from a mistake. It's not the end of the world. And they know you are a safe sounding board, not the project manager. We want to take you out of that project management role and just be the support crew in the background. Because think about the long game. When you zoom out, school isn't just about marks. It's about learning how to manage yourself. It's about handling stress. It's about thinking independently. And it's about recovering from setbacks. All of these transferable skills that simmer underneath the subjects that teenagers are learning at school are these self-identity skills. And if we smooth every bump as parents, then they're not going to build those muscles. However, if we abandon them to struggle alone, they lose confidence. So the middle ground between all of that is intentional support. If you're constantly wondering, am I helping too much? That question alone tells me that you are such a thoughtful, caring parent, and you are doing such a great job already. My only little suggestion would be maybe as parents, we could try shifting from fixing the problem to coaching the skill, or maybe going from removing discomfort entirely to helping our children build capacity. Helping isn't the problem. Hovering is helping without an exit plan. And your goal isn't perfection, it's gradual independence. That's what we want to move towards at home. So if this episode resonated, share it with another parent who might be walking that same line right now. And if you want practical systems that let you step back because your teen has structure, then that's exactly what I focus on. And doors are currently open for my flagship exam ready system, the complete A to Z of study preparation for exams. Any student that is at high school, we have beginner level, there are beginner level lessons in there, and there's also senior stretch levels. If you have a teen at home who is nearing those really important senior exams at high school. So I will link it in the show notes. It's a great way to scaffold that learning at home without you hovering. And remember, support doesn't mean control. It means building skills that last. I will see you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Challenge Your Mind, Change the World. I hope you found our discussion enriching and that you're walking away with new ideas to enhance communication and critical thinking within your own family. If you enjoyed this episode and are finding value in our conversations, please take a moment to rate us on your favourite podcast platform. Your feedback not only supports us, but also helps other parents discover the tools they need to foster stronger relationships and critical thinking skills with their teens. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share this with someone who you think could benefit from our today's topic. I'm Francesca Hudson, and I look forward to joining you again next time as we continue to challenge our minds and change the world. Until then, keep thinking critically and communicating effectively.